Hello, good evening. It's always a pleasure to bring you from our correspondents. Stay tuned and expect that your community or a community near you would be in the news. It could be positive though. Our correspondents across the 16 regions of the country have been working hard day and night to serve you and the entire country. Stay with us as we bring you all these stories. My name is Richard K Nyarko and I'm bringing this to you from the Top Yard Event Center here in Cape Coast. We begin with education now, and the Minister of Education is asking grade A schools to learn to accept students with low grades and mold them into good students capable of passing the West Africa Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. According to Dr. Richard, that's the best way to access how good these schools are. Speaking at the launch of the University of Cape Coast 60 celebration in Cape Coast, the minister said always receiving the best BEC candidates and making them score good grades at the WASI does not make them the best schools. But he stated that receiving students with low grades and molding them to pass their WASI will make them stand out. I was there and covered this for you. The Education Minister, Dr. Osei indicated that the mark of every good teacher, every good school is to get students with low grades and turn them into outstanding students. He challenged the grade A schools in the country like Wesley Girls, Presec, Holy Child and the likes not to be worried when students with low grades are placed in their schools, but be happy that with their resources, pedigree and experience, such students will be guided and molded into excellent students that are capable of passing their final exams.
There are families where nobody has ever gone to senior high school. And if we don't go there and we continue to look at ourselves and begin to complain, why are we bringing all these children here? There are places where teachers are complaining that students with aggregate 20 are being accepted. I had a wonderful conversation with someone who is very high up. He called me one day and said, why are you sending students with aggregate 22 to Presec? And I said, sir, I think Presec has one of the best group of teachers in this country. He said, yes, it's true, Presec, yeah, that's my school. And he said, yeah, they are examiners and they are very good. And I said, yeah, sir, I know. They are examiners and they are very good. So they are the ones who are prepared to teach those who have aggregate 25. The idea that students with aggregate 25 should not go to Presec, it boggles my mind. They are the ones who belong to Wesley Girls where you have talented teachers. So if Wesley Girls want to prove to me that they are the best school and they are the best school, they need to take in students with aggregate 20.
He further charged the University of Cape Coast to set the pace in training teachers that would handle children with special needs in Ghana.
I want you to begin to reassess a new frontier where you take charge of education of teachers for special needs children, autistic children that will need some speech therapy. Our nation is in short supply of speech therapists. Cape Coast must lead the way. You must lead the way in the training of education psychologists, those who can support our teachers in the education of our children. You must lead the way in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I love it. That's why I'm sponsoring about 97 of our STEM professionals. I believe that we can do better as a nation by increasing the percentage of our students who are in these fields. Doing very well in other fields, but when it comes to STEM, we are found wanting. And especially when it comes to gender parity. At the Kwame Nkrumah University of Technology, Science and Technology, leaders of engineering, only 15% of the engineering students are women. And it's not good enough. We can do better.
Dr. Osei explained that government would never compromise on quality in its bid to open access to senior high school education. Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Johnson Nyarko indicated that currently the university's collective image as an institution is high, and across the sub-region and across the globe, the university's reputation is very high and ought to be protected.
As the Vice-Chancellor of this great institution, I see this as the beginning of greater things yet to come. It is therefore important that we work harder to overcome our challenges so that we can maintain our enviable position as a top-ranked university in Ghana, West Africa, and global leader in terms of our research influence.
He stated that globally, the university is not only being recognized for its academic excellence, but as a pace-setter in higher education as well. The 60th anniversary cake of the university was cut to begin the activities earmarked for the celebration. Reporting for Joy News, Richard K Nyarko, Cape Coast.
Thank you very much.
Let's still stay in the Central Region, and the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Harriet Thompson, has indicated the UK government is considering the option of supporting the production of organic products such as the locally made Alata samina soap to the British market to support the creation of employment for the rural communities in Ghana. According to her, the demand for organic products on the British market is high, hence the need to support the production of organic soap to meet the UK standards. She was speaking at a tour of an Alata samina production site in Ewutu Bojuase in the Central Region. I have more in this report. The Alata samina soap is an age-old natural African soap with no chemicals. The organic soap, locally made here in Ghana, is said to help deep clean the skin and works on most skin types, including rough, dry, and sensitive skin. It is also said to have great antibacterial properties, making it an excellent remedy for mild, severe, and hormonal acne that reduces inflammation. The tour by the British High Commissioner to Ghana was to inspect the production site of the local soap-making business here at Bojuase and look at ways to help them add value, brand the product, and make it viable in the UK market. The British High Commissioner to Ghana, Her Excellency Harriet Thompson, says the British High Commission would support such local businesses and give them international exposure.
Really interesting to see over recent years the level of interest in organic products such as the soaps that we saw being made this morning is rocketed recently as people realise the benefits of natural products as opposed to chemicals. So there's huge interest in that sort of thing in the UK. One of the programmes that our High Commission runs is a livelihoods programme. So it looks at how it can grow small businesses such as we saw this morning to raise the number of people that those businesses can employ and to raise awareness of those products, to raise the standards of those products so that they meet export standards and can be exported to markets like the UK where there's such demand for them. Yeah, organic products are hugely popular in the UK, and black soap particularly I think is seeing something of a moment. So I'm very confident that products like what we saw this morning would do very well in the UK market. What we heard this morning was how important marketing is. So the actual raw product, when it's put inside a particular type of packaging, all of a sudden the price rockets. So it's understanding how companies like Da Essence, who we met with this morning, can take advantage of that. And we saw how they're moving into processing their own product, into packaging their own product, so that they can realise that value locally.
The Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senior West, Gisela Tete Agbutui, pledged to partner the UK High Commissioner to export the organic soap to Europe.
In collaboration with the British High Commission, with some members of Parliament, a program called Close Up with MPs. And this is the beginning of, I think, greater things to come. Somewhere late last year, we had a meeting at the British High Commission to discuss constituency issues and what is happening in your constituency. And I opened up to them. We talked about education, we talked about tourism, we talked about economic empowerment, and so on and so forth.
Some of the producers of the Alata samina soap in the Ewutu Bojuase area are calling for financial support to enable them expand their business. They lament that apart from the financial support they seek, they also want to mechanize their production by moving from the use of firewood to gas to end the reduction of smoke.
The difficulties is that our palm kernel oil and coconut oil is not sometimes readily available in the markets, and the costs continue to skyrocket every now and then. So I think it is for the Ghanaian government in itself to deliberately intervene into the growing of palm kernel and coconut, because that's the raw material base. And even cocoa, even the government intervention on cocoa has to be maximized, because at the end of the day, when the cocoa bean is taken, the cocoa pod is used as the base for the black soap as well.
And the challenges in the doors, my and to say, yeah, and Kayabenya gas, I be boy. If you say a jano tonodoso, and forest of one so crime penny, send a bear, make Janama, and think
The challenges are many and varied. We would have wished we would get gas that would support our production instead of the use of firewood. We often run into problems with the Forestry Commission.
Na yare boy, and once in your Guma did. Boy, send no bono, Yamfa yensa into heat in one. Median Cabe boy pa.
It is the hope and the expectation of the producers of the soap here that they would get some support that would enable them add value to the product, boost their production, and create more jobs in the area. Reporting for JoyNews, Richard K Nyarko, Cape Coast. To our third story now, and Ramadan is seen as a spiritual time for reflection, improvement, and the increase of our devotion and worship to God. During this period, adult Muslims do not eat nor drink from dawn to dusk. Even though children of the Muslim faith are expected to begin fasting once they reach puberty, usually by the age of 14, many are encouraged to do so. In the following report, my colleague Anna Sabit has been interacting with some of the children below the fasting age on how they first embarked on this important religious journey.
Muslim children typically aren't expected to fast during Ramadan until they reach puberty. But most often, kids will want to start earlier because they see everyone else abstaining from food and water from sunrise to sunset, followed by their community gathering to break their fast together, and they want to participate. Today, I set off to engage some of these kids on how they began observing the dawn to dusk religious obligation. 14-year-old Fatih Idris was 9 when she first attempted to fast.
When I started fasting, we were staying in Accra. When we went to school, I saw my friends fasting, so when I came home, I told my mom that I also wanted to fast. So in the morning, when I finished eating, I did my chores. Exactly 8, then my stomach started growling. Then I went to the kitchen and saw some jollof. But I controlled myself. But when it was 12, I couldn't control myself anymore, and I drank water.
Unlike Fatih Idris, who started at age 9, Abdulaziz Issa's first fasting experience was at age 13.
I myself wanted to fast because it was good. All my friends were doing it, and I was told that when you do, you receive blessing from Allah.
Like most of the kids I spoke with, 9-year-old Shurem is fasting for the first time this year. He attempted to do so a year ago, but failed to make it to sunset.
I was hungry. I was crying for help, and when I was in the room, I went to tell my stepmother that I'm hungry. He said I should wait until the time will go to 12. I waited, and it came to 12, and I break the fast.
Kids can start by fasting for a few hours, by fasting from dawn to midday, by skipping lunch, or by fasting only on weekends. Hajia Hajara Kipo is a mother of 4. She shares with me how she nurtures her children into fasting.
For children and fasting, in fact, it is something interesting because I started with my children at the age of 5. And at the age of 5, the child will not fast fully, but the child will fast from morning to 12 o'clock. As at that age, then I'll ask the child to break the fast. And when you are doing this, you don't have to let the child go to school. You have to let the child do it at the weekends. So normally they do it at the fast at weekends. So when the child is at home, you can monitor the child, the way the child is feeling. When you see the child being weak or lying down, he can't do anything, then maybe you have to let the child break the fast.
Hajara is, however, surprised at how her case took to fasting pretty easily and didn't appear to be overly exhausted, adding that Muslim children are not forced but trained gradually to do so.
It's not force. We don't force the children, but we rather give them training. It's a training. Like I said, the children themselves, it will get to us sometime. When you ask them to fast today, tomorrow, don't fast, you have to rest. The child will say, no, mommy, I want to fast. Or daddy, allow me to fast. Me, I can fast. I can fast today, evening time. Allow me to fast. So it's not force. We don't force them. We train them. And when you train your child well, the child will like to fast with you.
To these children have been engaging, what else do they know about Ramadan aside from abstaining from food and water?
I was 9 when I started fasting, and nobody forced me to fast. I saw that everyone was fasting and nothing happened to them. And I also wanted to fast so that I can get blessings from Allah. You pray the 5 days of prayers and you recite the Quran and help the needy people.
Though Muslims are only mandated to fast at puberty, getting children encouraged to fast early remain of significant importance to most Muslim homes. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And we still stay with Anas Sabit and still stay with activities of the Ramadan fast because many Muslims around the world have been hoping for a more cheerful Ramadan after the coronavirus pandemic cut off the world's 2 billion Muslims from cherished Ramadan rituals for the past 2 years. Instead, many find even the most basic items too expensive to buy this year due to the harsh economic conditions across the globe. My colleague Anas Sabit has been engaging some Muslims in the Techima municipality on how the soaring food prices is impacting their observation of Islam's holiest month. There is more in this report.
The Islamic holy month of Ramadan began about a fortnight ago. For Muslims around the world, it is a time for spiritual reflection and abstinence from food and water from sunrise to sunset. This year, the high cost of living crisis, which is being intensified by several factors globally, leading to the sharp food price hikes, is having a toll on Muslims observing this holy month. Haruna Bawa tells me the situation is affecting many, especially the needy. The prices of goods are high compared to the same period last year. We used to buy a lot and share with the needy, but this year we can't do the same because of the high cost of living. He believes that the situation is as a result of the high cost of fuel prices at the pumps. The high cost of fuel is worrying. If we take a look at the amount we spend at the pumps, when we are to convey items at a cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis, almost everything is spent on fuel. So fuel price hikes is why we are suffering today. For many in the Muslim community, it is already a tough month for them, as the poor who struggle to make ends meet finds it difficult to provide enough food for their families to break their fasts with. People already hungry will be observing their religious duty during the day, but won't have enough to replenish themselves in the evenings. Cindy Chaban says this year's Ramadan is synonymous to dry fasting.
When you fast, the most exciting thing is when you hear it's time to break your fast, because there are different kind of fruits. You are not buying it, you are getting it for free. Enjoy it, so you always get excited. But this year, it seems like we are doing dry fasting because the fruits, they are scarce. When you get them, they are expensive. So it makes the fasting somehow dull.
Haji Arabi has been selling Hausa cocoa for the past 7 years. She says the rising cost of sugar and other items has led to 100% increment in the price of the commodity.
Sugar
is costly today, and same applies to millet. So the price of cocoa has been increased too. Now we only sell at 1 cedi instead of 50 pesos. People selling fruits are not left out of these difficulties. They claim the high cost of living has impacted their sales negatively. Everything is expensive now. Our fruits are not bought as expected. People really want to buy, but because they don't have money, they can't buy. Whilst others are optimistic that the situation will improve going forward, Man John has lost faith entirely. Things have worsened off this year, honestly. Needy can even feel this. At first, I thought there would be improvements, but now I have lost hope. For these people we've been engaging, their sole hope is that authorities will institute measures capable of easing their hardships. Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
To a rather worrying development, and scientists at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology are warning regular consumers of watermelon of adverse health effects from banned pesticides. The findings published in the journal Scientific Reports found unacceptable levels of the pesticide residues like DDT in some of the fruits on the market in the Ashanti region. JoyNews' medical correspondent Dr. Neta Pasram reports.
A group of pesticides known as organochlorines, which DDT and HCH form a part of, are banned for agricultural use. However, developing countries such as Ghana continue to use them.
Probably because of the organochlorine pesticides that have been banned and are still in use. And if you look at fruits, they are not the type of things that we cook before eating. We take them as we consume them as we find them. The only thing probably that we do is to wash them. And these persistent organic pesticides, the organochlorine pesticides, have effect on human beings, harmful effect. They are poisonous, they have a tendency to cause cancer, and for which reason this particular project was something that was of necessity. And so we wanted not only to look at what happens in the market, because we know that people bring their wares from the farms to the market to sell. We were looking at what happens on the farm.
The scientists wanted to assess the levels of organochlorine residues in fruits and determine the potential risk associated with exposure to these pesticides. For the study, the researchers used 120 fruits from 5 communities in the Mampong municipality of the Ashanti region.
All these are communities where they are doing extensive farming into fruits and fruits mainly. And we looked at 3 of them: banana, pineapple, and watermelon, which is very much consumed. All these 3 are consumed by a lot of people on a daily basis. So we looked at the possible risk associated with these consumptions, and we realized that for most of these fruits, the risk of consumption was low for both infants and adults. But then for watermelon, the risk of consumption for adults was low, whereas that for infants was alarmingly high. I would say alarmingly high because the factor that we got was far greater than 1. Which means that it is alarming. Also, when we looked at the carcinogenic risk, we also realized that the children are at a risk of having cancer by consuming watermelon because of the the level of organochlorine pesticide that was found on it. We didn't see the same for the other two fruits that we looked at, which is pineapple and banana.
The scientists are therefore calling for regular monitoring of pesticide levels in fruits in order to protect consumer health. Reporting for JoyNews, Dr. Netta Pashram.
One of the affected students who've been deferred at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is appealing to the university authority to consider his plight and reverse its decision. The student, who spoke on condition of anonymity, says his parents are broke such that they can't pay the fees immediately. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has been speaking to him.
Alexander Dixon, not his real name, is the third child of his parents, a second-year engineering student who was not able to meet the minimum requirement of the KNUST fees credit and debt management policy.
One of the students here, and he has also received the message from the university, and this is how the message reads: "Dear student, your program has been deferred as you have not met the minimum requirement of the KNUST fees credit and debt management policy." And so he has received the message from the university, and we would like to find out from him what has been the challenge, why he was not able, or he has not been able to pay the fees. I mean, you have been given a very long period. I mean, you've gone for vacation for some weeks or even months to prepare and come back to school. What has been the challenge? Why have you not been able to pay your school fees?
During the vacation, I went to Accra and I got myself into some construction business. So I was following people around for something to do, and thanks to God I got something small, and I wasn't having laptop. So I decided that I will buy laptop from the money, and the rest I'll use it to make payment of my school fees. But unfortunately my mother got sick, so I had to give some of the money to her for her medical treatment. After incurring all these costs, I realized that I have nothing on me, so I couldn't make the minimum payment that I wanted to do.
Alexander is not alone in this challenge. There are a couple of students who have difficulty paying their fees, but there are others too who can afford but have used their fees to gamble. Speaker of Parliament for KNUST Students' Parliament, Shamuna Suleiman Magani, says betting is a widespread canker on the university's campus.
It's obvious that there are some students that had problems of paying their fees, and some students used their fees, allegedly used their fees for gambling, which the university really frowns to. But the fact of the matter is that must we generalize this qualitative judgment? This is a judgmental assertion that cannot be taken on a general notice. There are students that are genuinely poor.
Shamuna says the decision of the KNUST to defer students owing fees will affect them psychologically. He, however, appeals to the university to soften its decision on the students.
As a student leader, I know in this particular condition, the university management is right, because the university as it is now spends several amounts of money in running the university. So the university equally needs money to run this particular institution. So I don't have any stance to blame the university on the policy. But the fact of the matter is that we are not in normal times. Post the ravages of COVID-19, and also the UTAG strike has imposed a lot on the student body. So we are calling on the university to consider an extension of the deadlines.
His appeal is reiterated by Joseph Harry Taxin, a second-year law student.
Some of them didn't even come for lectures. So some are even missing out on lectures already. But ideally, I think that some are still soliciting for funds, but then they just need time. They just need time. So that's what we are urging, that the school authorities will at least listen to the grievances of the students. I just want to plead with the university management to kindly consider their decision, and also give them room to make payment for as such.
Over 6,000 students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have been asked to defer their programs. The students were unable to meet the minimum requirement under the credit and debt management policy for the university fees. The university had sent reminders to students to pay at least 70% of fees by April 7, 2022 to avoid automatic deferment. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
While we understand that the university has rescinded its decision, has given the student some ample time to effect payments. From our correspondent, we'll take a break. We shall be back with more. Welcome back from the break, and to Techiman now, and the Techiman Traditional Council, together with the District Security Council, has placed a ban on the activities of motorcycles popularly known as Pragya beyond 10 p.m. The move, according to Nananum, forms part of measures taken by the local authorities to clamp down on criminal activities perpetrated by criminal gangs late in the night within the municipality. Anna Sabit has more in the following report.
Admittedly, motor tricycles, popularly known as Pragya in the Techiman municipality, have helped in the provision of employment to a number of young people and a source of wealth creation, not to mention its ready getaway means of transportation. However, with the statistics available to city authorities on crime and indiscipline, especially in the night, the Techiman Traditional Council, together with the police administration, has placed a ban on the use of these tricycles beyond 10 p.m. The move, according to the Registrar of the Traditional Council, Evans Egan, is to help minimize crime rate across the municipality, especially at night.
In one of our security meetings, it got to light that there has been increase in Pragya theft, the motor itself, and secondly, people who patronize Pragya, being the passengers, mostly they are being attacked while on board these tricycles. So in order to curb this menace in the Techiman traditional area, Nananim decided that we should restrict their operations. So the Traditional Council, that's the standing committee, is the highest decision body for Techiman Traditional Council, made a decision that the Pragya operators are not going to operate beyond 10 p.m.
He noted that the decision is for the safety of the riders and the passengers as a whole, and appealed to them to comply.
Our main focus is to protect people who patronize Pragya and also protect the owners of this Pragya cycle. Because in the end, they are vulnerable at night, that they can, rob the motorcycle and at the same time harm the drivers. So we are pleading with the operators, especially the drivers, that these restrictions are there for their own sake or for their own safety, not to punish them.
This decision, though taken together with the leadership of the Pragya Riders Association, is currently having a toll on their businesses. Chairman of the association, Awal Mohammed, says the situation is not only affecting these riders but passengers as well.
Some are also talking about timing for closing and other things. Yes, it has also been out there that we need to close at 10. Right. We are in talk with the authorities so that we'll look at how to keep that, because currently many of them are complaining about the timing, the closing time and other things, because they are not making their sales, they are not making their this, and other customers who are stranded after 10 o'clock going. They can't get means because taxi is not plowing, and so they cannot get means to their place. Other people travel and come in the night, they want means to go home. They are not getting it because Pragya is not working after 10 in Techiman.
Awal Mohammed is, however, calling on the security agencies to work towards improving on their patrols across the municipality, and further appealed that the 10 p.m. closing time be extended to 12 a.m. each day.
I'll call on the security agencies to at least step up their security operations. I think it's to be logical that we should close at 12. So by that time, many people would have maybe gone to their houses. By that time, I believe no rider will be able to come and stand before me and tell me that, Chairman, the 10 o'clock is affecting me. I'm not able to make my sales. But I think that it will help us a lot.
Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Let's do more stories now. And 9 convicts at the Jura camp prisons have regained their liberty after their fines were paid by 2 good Samaritans. Reverend Father Eric Enin and Reverend Nsunwa Kwesi paid between 1,200 and 1,500 cedis to settle the court-imposed fines. The released prisoners say they have learned valuable lessons during their months in prison. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
42-year-old Yao Deborah was sentenced to 60 months in hard labor or pay a fine of 1,500 cedis for impersonation. The Kwaso District Magistrate Court convicted him on August 31, 2021. Deborah has already served 7 months of his sentence at the Jura Camp prison. Godwin Ahiakwa, 25, Abu Muhammad, 29, and Shaban Moro, 19, were also convicted for various crimes ranging from unlawful entry to causing damage and assault. 30-year-old Daniel Mensah was sentenced to 12 months or pay a fine of 1,200 cedis, and Richard Obeng's offense of causing damage to 8 months in hard labor. Kojo Safo, 26, Opong Edmond, 19, and Jonathan Aloy were also convicted for 24 months, 60 months, and 12 months respectively for causing harm and possession of stolen property. Kojo beat up a police officer over a piece of land.
Police in Amkobono. A police sergeant.
My elder brother is a sergeant, so I went to beat a policeman and he said he can't help me. My mother was dead and we sold a plot for 1,500 cedis to pay off our debt. The policeman who bought the land said he didn't like the place. He wanted another piece of land or we refund the money. I told him he had to wait for my uncle to come back. If my uncle returns, I'll get some money to refund. By then, I was going on a business trip. I had goods in the bush, so I told him I would give him my uncle's number. If my uncle didn't pay the money, I would pay it myself when I returned from the trip. Then he went to file a complaint. The case didn't even happen at my house, rather my friend's place.
The 26-year-old says he has learned lessons.
What I'll say to those at home is that if anyone slaps you, turn the other side so they slap you again. Because if you are looking for revenge, you could end up like me. In my case, I had help. And what about you?
19-year-old Opong shares his story.
Me point my bell every more. Intimate and share mine be no sonoma. I will hear more and I'm busa and say. By this time we sonoma coin out of Pedropian and also that be.
I work as a Pragia rider. I closed work around 11 p.m. when I met a man carrying a sack. So I asked him why he was carrying a load at this time of the night. Then I asked whether he wanted to board my Pragia to his destination, but he said no, he was going to town to sell his shoes. I told him I needed to see what was inside the sack. When he opened it, I saw hair, ointments, ladies' kente, and others. So I screamed, "Thief, thief!" and he took off leaving behind the sack. At first, I wanted to take the things home, but after second thought, I said that the owner could be in our vicinity and could say that I stole it, so I didn't take it home. I placed the sack in front of an electrical shop near my house. The next morning, I went to inform a porridge seller near the house, but one woman who came to buy the porridge said another complained of her missing items. I took her to the items, and as we were standing there, the woman and her brothers came to applaud me. Later, people accused me of being the thief. They brought CID to come and arrest me. The first day I came here, it was very difficult for me. It's not easy at all. When I go home, I'll advise my friends to be careful. If they listen, it's fine. If they don't, I'll just forget them.
CID for by on me. First day by crowd much black. So any father easy. Intimidate me 2 more. Me 1 me 2 for between no what you want so. I made that life for now.
While this is Jonathan's first time in jail, he had numerous cases that landed him in police cells.
The family Jonathan allo e din be bi da amafo di nim ye jo crack. Me free na vrungu ba me papa ewu ntem ma me ye akolabon ntem
I am called Jonathan Alo, popularly known as Joe Crack. I'm from Navrongo. My dad died early, so I became a bad kid, which is why I moved to Accra. I always moved from Accra to Kumasi, and from Kumasi to Accra, where I met a friend who told me he saw a motorbike somewhere but he can't ride. For me, I know how to ride, so I went with him to Mankanso to steal the motorbike. On the way, we got stopped by a police patrol team. We were asked a number of questions that we did not have answers to, hence the conclusion that we had stolen the motorbike. We didn't have the keys to the bike, so I connected the wire. So when they found out, we were arrested. They sent us to the court and we were both in prison for 2 years, a year each, or a fine of 1,200 cedis. For him, his family came to pay for his release, but for me, I didn't have anybody to help me.
A court. When I'm jail, 2 years, 1 year, fine of 1,200. Nti ono dia ono na busia me madam fono na busia nya ska betwai am omu yi ni free central ba me na manya obi ama na ntwa ma me.
Many people in prison are already poor and unable to pay the lowest penalty. When you do evil, evil will come to you, and when you are a good person and help others, good things will happen to you. This principle of karma is an important factor that motivated Reverend Father Eric Enin, parish priest of St. Patrick Catholic Church at Atibobo and in Sowakosi, to pay for the release of the 9 prisoners.
So for the fine, because they had served for some months, it had reduced. And so they worked the percentage. And some I paid 900, some 800, 500. So together I paid 3,200. 3,200 in addition to the food items that I bought. And
just as Jesus said, when I was in prison, you visited me. When I was in the hospital, you visited me. So motivated by this, I decided to visit my friends at the prisons at Ejura here. Then they gave me some of their needs. And as part of their needs, we were able to do most of them for them. Then we decided to also see if there's a way that we can pay the fine for few of them so that those people can then be discharged.
Superintendent Dixon Owusu Amiao is the officer in charge of Ejura Camp Prison.
So I'm very proud of the people who God touched their hearts to pay for the 9 people's fine to go out. So I always pray for them that God should replenish whatever they have lost. And the inmates who are also going home, I pray for them to go and live in a good life.
The Ejura Camp Prison has 207 prisoners who have committed petty offences. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
To the northeast region now, and Ilyasu Tanko brings us a story about a Canadian-based evangelist couple who is urging the government and other stakeholders to extend COVID-19 recovery programs to remote and rural communities. The couple is calling for authorities to increase support for healthcare facilities to be able to address the need of the rural folks as the country recovers from the pandemic. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko was there and filed this report.
As the country recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic, stakeholders have been urged to intensify support for healthcare facilities in the rural parts of the country. In line with this, the Families of Today for Tomorrow, a charitable organization by a Ghanaian couple based in Canada, over the weekend made a huge donation of medical equipment and supplies, including beds and PPEs, to the Baptist Medical Center in the Northeast Regional Capital Town of Nalirugu. The director of the organization, Reverend Dr. Ama Nkoma Owusu, explained the reason for the donation.
This time, we were told, and the need was told us that they really need beds. So, by God's grace, we went and sourced out, and he provided 20 beds and a 40-foot container load of PPEs at this time that we needed it. Last year we brought some PPEs. Even that was before COVID.
Yeah.
We didn't know there was going to be a COVID, but God provided us a lot with PPEs, gloves and masks and everything, and we brought it. And this year, again, the Lord has provided. So we are just a conduit of organization that want to help humanity, and so whatever we receive that we know that it can be a blessing to our country, we bring it. So this is why we have done this, that many mothers that comes to the hospital that sometimes they don't have beds to sleep on, they can have, or they have critical patients. These beds are automatic, so it can help the nurses not to carry the patients and all that. So this is the reason why we have brought these to help the operations of the hospital.
Dr. Ahmad says there is so much need for healthcare facilities as well as other sectors in rural areas to be supported. She, however, calls on private individuals and non-governmental organizations to support the efforts of the state.
One thing I realize in Ghana, that everybody calls on the government. Oh, government come and do this, government come and do that. But the government alone cannot do. We are also government. We are part of the government. So let us all put our hands together and help one another, help the hospitals, help schools, help the children to become a better place.
Dr. Edwin Adai, the hospital administrator receiving the donation, says the organization is one of the regular and reliable donors of the facility.
This kind of beds is very, very good beds, and especially the ones with a double crack. When you get this kind of beds and you have emergency patients, some of them they can't turn, they can't sit, but you can trickle the bed to suit their comfort. So it's very good bed. That's especially this kind of beds are beds that you put in emergency ward or ICU or recovery areas. So this beds is going to help improve our healthcare to the people.
The organization is also into evangelism, where they travel into deep rural communities to share the word of God with people, mostly through video shows. Operating without churches, what this organization does is work with local Bible-based believing churches by handing over the souls that are won to these local religious establishments to nurture. The organization, which has been working in the region since 2009, is also into children feeding every Christmas. The local representative of the organization, Pastor Peter Bugri, thanked the organization for its continued support, while calling on the people of the region to also assist in the realization of its goal.
These items that are presented today is just a little portion of what they have done so far. And we have really been proud of families of today for tomorrow. And then we just pray and trust that God will strengthen them and give them more grace to be able to support us to see to the development of this area, the church and the hospital, together with the children that they feed. So we are thankful to God for their lives. Yes, there is also a vision that they have, intending to build a home to accommodate orphans, widows, and the deprived. Actually, they got a land in Nagbo, just that issues have cropped that the land has been taken away. But we are still trusting God to get a bigger land elsewhere for that project to come on. We just pray and believe that it will come on because it will really help a lot of the people in the area.
Elias Sutanko, Nalirgu for Joy News.
And Anna Sabit has our last story, where the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Usu-Ekufo, has urged young girls to take advantage of existing opportunities in the digital world and embrace ICT education to better their lot in future. She made this call while speaking at the National Girls and ICT program held in Techiman in the Bono East region, where about 1,000 girls in public basic schools in the region were selected to be trained in ICT programming and coding. Anna Sabit has more in the following report.
As part of strategies to both ensure that Ghana achieves the Sustainable Development Goal 5 and Ghana's ICT 4AD policy on bridging the gender digital divide, the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, through its agencies GIFEC, the NCA and the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence, has expanded the scope of the Girls in ICT project. The program, which involves the training of trainers who in turn trains the girls and mentor them to develop passion for ICT, is for the second time training 1,000 girls in the Bono East region. Osla Usu-Ekufo is the Minister for Communications and Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West constituency.
These are deliberate steps that we're taking to encourage more girls to consider
studying ICT subjects and taking up careers in this very wide, exciting field in futures, so that it is not just a theoretical exercise. We bring women, female achievers who have excelled in this field, either as trainers or as practitioners. So we have lecturers and we have those who are actually working in this field to come and share their experiences with the women, the girls, during this mentorship program. So this is just to expose the girls to the wonders of ICT.
But how were these girls from the 11 districts of the Borno East region selected to be part of this project?
Girls' education officers and the schools who choose the girls. We are not involved in the selection of the girls. So they bring the girls for the training that we facilitate. And they should know the criteria that they use. Those who are interested in it, those who are good in it, so that they will get more exposure to it.
Borno East Regional Minister Kwesi Edujan lauded the Communications Ministry for the initiative and noted that the region is instituting measures capable of expanding the project to reaching many other girls across the region.
You know, almost every part of the region is covered under this program. We intend to sustain it. The Honorable Minister for Communication has come to sow the seed. Regional Coordinating Council, we are here to water the seed to make sure that it becomes effective and factual.
Mobile telecommunications giant MTN Ghana, who are partners to the Girls in ICT program, donated an amount of 10 million Ghana cedis to aid the mentorship and training of the girls. Engineer Louisa Ama Sosu is a board member of GIFEC and a senior networks performance and SLA manager at MTN.
MTN has really partnered with the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization on this Girls in ICT program. So we have committed a total of 10 million cedis over a period of 3 years. And in addition to that, anytime there's a program, we come with a team of mentors to encourage and mentor our girls in this program.
Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And this is where we end this edition of From Our Correspondent. Join us same time next week, where we bring you stories from your community and communities across the country. My name is Richard K Nyarko. Have a wonderful evening.